Good morning, everybody, though. It's really great to see you all.
And thank you for joining, Rachel. I appreciate your time joining us here.
Yeah, I love joining this group. Thank you.
All right, well, we've got a pretty good showing. I think we can start with introductions. Selena, would you mind just kind of going down the list? I think it's easiest to just call people out so we know who's next. I'll start and then Rachel, and then you introduce yourself. And then if you just go down the participant list, does that work? Again, for those of you who I haven't had a chance to meet yet, I am Michelle Bell. I'm your new policy analyst with OSBN, focused on the work of supporting you all in the CNA and MA world. Really enjoying this work so far. I've been here for 4 months and learned something new every day. There's a lot of energy with the Board of Nursing to really look at ways we can ease the way for all of you in running your programs and serving the workforce that we really need to serve our communities here in Oregon. So look forward to working with each of you and learning more about your programs. And thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Michelle. We're so excited for you to be leading this group now. Selena, can I just ask that you take the PowerPoint down while we do the round of
Oh, that's
introductions?
me.
Oh, sorry, Michelle.
I'll do
Could you
that.
do
That's
that so
good.
we can see everyone? Because if not, it's hard to go across.
There we go.
And then at your instruction, which I love, Michelle, I opened up people and can see the list. So you're thinking do introduction based on going that way? Okay, great. So I think most of you have met me in some capacity. Rachel Prusak, the executive director. Really good to see you all this morning and be here with you. And hopefully you've received the newsletter that went out talking about all of the accomplishments of the board last year, as well as the newsletter on the NPA modernization. And I know that will get touched on in this meeting, but wanted to just draw your attention to me sending that information out to keep you all in the loop. It looks like you're next, Laura.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Blackhurst, and I'm a fellow policy analyst. I work alongside Michelle here at the board. I'm a nurse educator myself, and so my role here is to actually do the same thing that Michelle does, but with our LPN and RN education programs. So excited to be here and listen in. And then next, I think I'm handing it over to Bonnie Marshall.
Good morning. My name is Bonnie Marshall. I am Program Director and Primary Instructor for the NA and MA programs at Rook Valley Manor in Medford. And just happy I could make it this week. Thank you. And can I pass it to Judy Sherman?
Hi, I'm Judy Sherman. I'm the Program Director and Primary Instructor for Aiden Health Services Nursing Assistant Program. And we have 5 clinical sites in Oregon, so I'm glad I'm here.
Next, Crystal Bowman, if you're able to speak or type in the chat.
Yes, hello. I'm Crystal Bowman. I'm the Dean of Nursing and Allied Health at Oregon Coast Community College, and I'm looking forward to meeting Michelle in person in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Crystal. And Bradley Brown.
Hey everyone, my name is Bradley. I'm the program director for Marquee Company. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I will be out on paternity leave here, hopefully a month. So I will have Candace being the interim for a few months.
Welcome, Candace. And Brenna from Headmaster.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brenna from Headmaster. I'm the program manager for Oregon, and Michelle has invited me in to sit in today so we can kind of chat and come up with some ideas to get some more testers.
Thank you, Brenna. Carol Neese.
It's actually nice, but that's
Oh,
okay.
nice. Okay.
I am the director and primary instructor for Dallas Retirement Village Nursing Assistant Training Program. Been doing this since about 2017. Been at DRV since 2013, and I love being involved with the board.
Thank you, Carol. Susan Craw.
Hi, I'm Susan Craw. I am the program director at Avamere and Kaiser, and we have hired an instructor in Bedford. So we're
Thank you, Susan. Christian Boyce.
Maybe move to the next one, but I think Erin typed in the chat, not feeling well, doesn't have a voice, camera off. I'm just going to say, Erin, maybe you should take the day off, but welcome also. Okay.
Kimberly, if you're available.
Hi there, Kimberly Goddard, Chief of Staff over here at OSPN, and really happy to be joining and listening.
Thanks, Kimberly. And then Grace Star Learning Institute, which is run by Stella.
Okay, good morning. This is, Stella Kamau, Program Director of Grace Star Learning Institute and also Primary Instructor of the NA program. I'm glad to be here.
Judy Sherman.
Good morning. I'm Judy Sherman, Program Director and Primary Instructor for Aiden Health Services Nursing Assistant Program, and glad to be here.
Glad that you're here, Judy. Next up is Julie Booker.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm Julie Booker. I'm the Program Director with RISE Partnership Long-Term Care Works Nursing Assistant Training Program. That's a mouthful. RISE Partnership does other training programs, but our division is Long-Term Care Works. And I've been with them for a year now, but I've been Program Director and instructor since 2004.
Thank you, Julie. And Carla, you said hi in the chat, but if you would like to add anything. Carla Ramirez.
Hi, good morning. My name is Carla Ramirez. I'm also not feeling great today, but I just want to show my face for everyone. New faces, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm primary instructor at Long-Term Care Works with RISE Partnership, and I've been here for about 3 years. So I'm excited to see what's new, what's changing, what we're improving on. So I'm ready to take a lot of notes. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn Chase.
Hi, I'm Lynn Chase. I'm the Program Director and only instructor for Clackamas Nursing Assistant Training. And my daughter is the only other employee, and she's waving to say hi. And I'm excited for all the changes that are coming.
Hi, Natalie. We know you're off camera.
Marianne.
Hello there. I'm Marianne Vaughn. I'm with EMT Associates. I own the company and I teach and teach and teach and really enjoy it. And we also collaborate with RISE from Julie, so we enjoy that also. And so I'm really excited to be included in the group, and I'm looking forward to all the information. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Marianne. And Mary Cox.
Morning, Mary Cox. I'm with Clackamas Community College. I'm the director and faculty of the nursing assistant program here. I started kind of mid September, I think, end of September, mid-October. So just a short time at this. I taught before in nursing. Glad to be here.
Mary, it's really great to see you here.
Megan Michelle. Oh, in the chat. NA Program Director at Central Oregon Community College. Thanks, Megan. Let's see. Up next is Barb Merrifield, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning. So I'm a nurse investigator new to the OSBN team. So just looking forward to observing today. And thank you for letting me join in, Michelle.
Happy to have you.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, Barb. Narita Henderson. Narita, I can see you're speaking, but I'm not hearing anything.
We can loop back.
Yeah,
Selena.
yeah, we'll loop back. Nilda Matos Kelly.
Hi, everyone. So Nilda Matos Kelly with Treasure Valley Tech and Health Skills programs, program director and primary instructor on the eastern side of Oregon.
Thanks for being here. Kelly Quinn.
Hi, I'm Kelly Quinn, program director with Rogue Community College down in Southern Oregon.
Thanks for being here. Sandy Kellogg.
Hi, I'm Sandy Kellogg. I'm the Dean of Health Sciences at Chemeketa Community College here in Salem, Oregon.
Great. Shannon Decker.
Hi, Shannon Decker. I'm representing Regency Facilities for their NA program and our baby fresh, not even a class yet, MA program.
It's exciting times. Sherry Power.
Hi guys, I'm Sherry. I am the program director for Dare to Care Learning Center in Eugene.
Thanks. Tiffany Slover.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tiffany Slover, and I'm the Dean of Nursing and Allied Health. So I also serve as the program director for our new nursing assistant program as well at Tillamook Bay Community College. We just completed our first cohort over the summer term.
Congratulations. And Nicole Van Winkle.
Hello, Nicole Van Winkle with OSBN and support staff. Thank you.
Veronica Gutierrez.
Hi, my name is Veronica Gutierrez, and I am the program director for Regency Pacific. And we have the NA program, and just like Shannon said, we also have the MA program, which we haven't started that part yet. Thank you.
Thank you. And Marianne, before I get to your question, I just want to loop back to Christian and Narita. We couldn't hear you originally. If you want to say, or if you want to try again, you're more than welcome to. Okay. Narita Henderson did put something in the chat. So you're from CTI, which is Caregiver Training Institute. You're new to the program in Oregon, and you're starting from scratch, and you're looking forward to learning in future collaborations. Oh, welcome. We're very excited to work with you as well. All right. And Marianne, you have your hand raised?
I do.
Yeah.
Carrie Guzman, who is our program director, has joined us. And so we're just both on the same chat. Just wanted to say hi to you and introduce everyone to Carrie.
Thank you. Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
And then Christian, you're the program director at Oregon Veterans Home in Lebanon. Thank you. And that is everyone.
That's great. What a showing. I'm so grateful that so many of you are able to carve the time out of your busy lives and programs to be here today. I think we'll have a good discussion. I will move into, are my slides coming up for you? Yep, okay. Perfect. Quick overview of our agenda. I'm really hoping to keep a good amount of open forum time for us all to hear your questions and use the time to collaborate amongst us all. But to start out, we've done our welcome and introductions. We'll get into some TMU quick updates here. Again, Brenna Quinn has joined us from Headmaster to talk about our test observers and give us a bit of a status update. Here maybe some of your challenges and creative ideas. We've got some updates from House Bill 3044, which was a significant body of work undertaken by OSBN over the last couple of years. Portions of that do affect our CNAs, in particular, the removal of the work hours requirement. So we'll talk about that. I want to open it up to questions about the curriculum. How's it going? It's been in place now for a little bit. After we've combined 1 and 2, questions, concerns, just wanting to hear your experiences, and then again, getting to that open forum and hoping to have a good amount of time there. All right, so TMU Headmaster, 4 programs that are about to go through survey, and for our new programs that have recently applied, we now have built out a new survey application function within TMU where all of the documents that we're asking for those surveys can be uploaded in one secure space. So I'm really excited about this. We won't be requesting documents via email any longer. It's a very simple upload. It walks you through all the things we're asking for. As we embark on updates to 61, what we're asking for may be changing or evolving. Yeah. I think that's a really great improvement than trying to manage things through multiple emails, and I think it'll ease your way as well. Any questions on that one? All right, with that, Brenna, I'll turn it over to you.
I'm on this.
All right, it's perfect. So Michelle and I touched base last week and kind of gave her updates on some of the issues I'm having with finding observers, especially in the Portland area. As a lot of you in that area know, it has been difficult due to the influx of students that have obviously gone through the programs. They're ready to test. However, I'm kind of in a bind right now with only having 1 observer that is currently accepting dates. So we kind of touched base on, chatting, and I talked to, I believe, Clackamas Community College about this because they have a few instructors that are possibly interested in becoming a tester. Of course, as most of you know, that instructors can't test their own students. However, in the Portland area, if, say you have an instructor that wants to become an observer, you could potentially have that observer go to the other training programs and test the other students. And if we had a few of you guys doing that, it might alleviate some of the issues that I've been having finding people in the area. We get a lot of, interest in them, but then as soon as we explain that, it is a business entity. So basically the observer is contracted with us and we pay their business entity. And it kind of scares people away. But it's not scary. Once we get everything in place. But so Michelle wanted me to kind of explain that to you guys and kind of maybe put some feelers out to see if any instructors were interested in possibly doing that, especially in the Portland area. And we're really excited. We did get Portland Community College up and running as a test site. Benson High School, that's also part of PCC, has been approved. She's also going to be doing a Sylvania campus for PCC. So we definitely have the test sites, and they're open to, allowing students from other training programs to come in once, students from their program are tested, or if there's seats available. Correct. The observer has to be a registered nurse. Yes. So if you guys are, or if you have interested instructors, or, you know, if a program director has someone that's interested, our number, you know, is here. Give us a call. It's on the Oregon TMU website. You guys can also reach out via email. Usually we start the process with the RN sending their resume. You do need 1 year work experience in long-term care or with chronically ill, excuse me. So that has to be there, and it can be any time in your work history. It could have been when you were a CNA. So as long as you have that proof, you would be, you know, accepted. And I can send out in the chat the Oregon team email that you guys can send those to.
And Marianne, I see you've got your hand up, and then Rachel.
How long does it take to get onboarded?
It just depends if the RN has everything together, say they already have the business entity set up. Essentially, if they get all the documents submitted to us, you know, we could have our company RNs reaching out to you within, you know, 3 or 4 days to get trained. So it's dependent on obviously their availability. But we could see, you know, them set up within, you know, a week, 2 weeks. So it's definitely feasible.
Rachel?
Thanks. And then I know, I just have a clarifying question, excuse me. I know that there is, you know, research that shows after CNA does all of this training, if they then can't get signed off and it's been a while, they feel like they forget and then they just don't get certified, and we want to prevent that from happening. Is this offering schools programs to partner with TMU so they can do their own evaluation of the student at their program? Or is this that you're asking for people of programs to do it for other programs? I need clarification on that.
Got you. It would be, so like if you like Clackamas Community College, Mary said that she had an instructor that was potentially interested in being an observer. If we got her hired on, and then say somebody from PCC got hired on and they are contracted with us to do, you know, observing, we could potentially set up dates and swap them. So basically the PCC instructor could go test the Clackamas Community College students.
Why can't they do their own? Is there a rule around that?
Conflict of interest. Oregon does not allow it.
Right, so it's that Oregon doesn't allow it because of our rules or statutes. We'll have to look into that. I know.
Been that way for many, many years.
Yeah, I'll have to look into this because I know this is something that was just updated in Washington. And sorry, I was unaware that we were going to be talking about this exact topic here. I would have tried to understand more beforehand, but I'm very interested in figuring out how we, and obviously Michelle is too, which is why she brought this here. So it looks like this is an opportunity, Michelle, for us to potentially update rules to make it easier for programs, for CNAs to get their observation done at their school if there's only a conflict of interest because of our rules, because I feel like in some states they're doing that. So I don't really know if it's a conflict of interest. It's just not allowed in our rules versus a conflict of interest. Michelle, I don't know if you want to speak to what I'm trying to mumble a little bit better than I am.
Sure. I mean, I think Washington, the program Rachel's referring to, they ran a pretty robust pilot before they expanded the program to across their state. With the idea of, if you look at our nursing programs, for example, right? the act of graduating. The program is graduating you in doing so, signing off that you are meeting the skills necessary to perform your job. And so that's kind of how they philosophically approached it, to move to allow programs to test their own students. I've asked a few of you in the community, like, hey, what do you think about this? And I think there's a lot to discuss, if we want to go this way or not. I think to Brenna's point, I mean, I think there's a gut reaction that's like, oh, well, then everybody is going to, 100% pass all of their students because it's in their self-interest to have those high passing rates. And I hear you. I think that's a valid risk that should be discussed, but I think it does need to be weighed against, are we being really critical of ourselves? We trust you as programs to be ethical leaders of your programs. I don't think you'd be doing this if you weren't. There is a pathway to do it. We've seen it done. They are being successful elsewhere. I don't want to scare anyone. This isn't a decision that's been made. We're not trying to roll this out, but I think since Rachel brought it up, maybe this is a good moment to discuss.
Yeah, exactly. Let me be clear. We are not, I've already asked everybody, we need a breather for the first quarter. We just did so much work, but starting conversations to understand what the barriers and challenges are. But with the center of centering, of course, public protection, but supporting our students and faculty of programs.
Absolutely.
Sherry, I see your hand up.
And my question is, I mean, on a couple of different levels, is there a possibility of maybe recording when you're doing your state testing? Because I know many of you guys know this, that I've been told that I'm the toughest state tester in Oregon, and which is quite frustrating for the fact that I literally read the sentence and I do exactly, and I don't smile, I don't frown, and so that I've been told that I'm not being nice when I was told not to do any of that stuff. So I'm just curious if is that possible to record, and then you could test your own students on that fact of it is being recorded at that point. And also when you're being told that you're not a good tester, it's being recorded. So
for headmaster, we do not allow, we can't allow our skills or to be recorded. Reason being is it's for security purposes and integrity of the exam. Yeah, we don't want that information out. If we're sending videos and stuff and that gets leaked, that's a breach. So that's from our standpoint. Obviously it does come up because we do have candidates that call in all over the country that I want video footage of my test. I definitely did this, stuff like that. But unfortunately, our company does not allow our tests to be recorded.
Okay, just curious on that. Thank you.
Of course.
I thought I saw another hand up, but now I'm not seeing it. Did somebody else have a comment?
Mary Ann's.
Yeah, mine goes up and down. I'm against testing our own. I really am. After 44 years of watching this, and I have lots of reasons why, and in a public forum, I'm happy to explain those. And as far as videoing things, who watches the video? I don't think that's workable, but I do not think that it is hard enough to tell a student that they have not passed the course, let alone I think it becomes very challenging and difficult to give the bad news that they haven't passed the test. I would much rather headmaster send them that news than me. Just an opinion.
Rachel.
Thanks. I think I appreciate this discussion, and I will just say I appreciate everybody sharing their opinions, but what we do is really we are at OSBN going to look at the integrity of doing it based on data and research that we can find and what other states are doing, and that's how we always center these conversations. So really good to hear everyone's opinions and ideas. But for sure, when we make those decisions, we will come back with the policy analysts leading on data and surveys that they collect to understand how to support the work best.
Mhm. And I appreciate your perspective, Marianne. And if this continues to be something we consider based on data, maybe we can get creative in ways to mitigate some of those risks and or uncomfortable conversations. I'm all for thinking of new ways to do things. And I want to call out Headmaster and Brenna and her team. With the move to TMU, we have access to great data. We can look at each student, how far they're traveling. We can put together some averages. We can easily pull a report that shows time from program completion to test time, and maybe identify where we have overall problems, if we have hotspots where this is an issue. So we do have, I think, better access to some of that data than we have in the past. And that's wonderful because it allows us to make those data-driven decisions. And I know I just saw a hand that I don't see. Did somebody have a hand up?
Oh, that was me. Sorry, this is Mary Cox. So just a quick question. Other than the idea of seeing if any of our instructors or faculty might want to join the work with you, Headmaster, any other ideas? I think in the short term, while we're kind of looking at this, Brenna, I think she's working really, really hard. I mean, working really, really hard to try to meet our students' needs. I'm just wondering if there's any short-term things that we could do to assist us as we are looking at it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just kind of what Mary is coming on. I mean, I had to get one of our observers from the Lebanon area, and she's actually been traveling up to Portland. She's not a huge fan of Portland. She doesn't like the traffic, which I don't blame her. But we offer, incentives for them to get up there, and help. So it's definitely, I can definitely put word out to her and see for the other programs. Where I'm trying my best to, alleviate everything. My anxiety levels are very high the last couple of months. So I definitely get where you guys are frustrated. I'm frustrated as well. So.
Good morning. I just want to make sure this is Joan with Pacific Healthcare Training. I'm calling in. I'd like to talk about, I personally do not feel that we should be testing our own students. I like that layer of having an independent party come into the classroom and test their competency. I would not want to have to test our own students.
Kind of to touch on that, I do. I'm actually the program coordinator for South Dakota, and they actually previously throughout the years they were instructors and they were their students observers. So I get where there's like a line between, well, you guys have obviously been for the many years have not been testing your students, whereas South Dakota has. And they just recently, the Board of Nursing in South Dakota, as they complete training, they're doing a skills, basically a checkoff list, I think. And they actually submit it to the board, and then TMU were in charge of doing the knowledge testing. So definitely, I mean, it is happening in a few states. I know Washington is one of them, in South Dakota. So it is happening, but I totally get where you guys are coming from and not wanting to test them. So.
Sherry.
I have a question for Brenna. So in the prior years, Naomi's always reached out when she's needed a state tester, and I haven't received any phone calls. So is that something that you don't do, is reach out when you need state testers? Because I've always been willing to travel and I haven't gotten a call in a while. So I didn't even know that you guys were needing state testers. So do we reach out to you with open dates, or do you reach out to state testers?
Yeah, Naomi did a lot of things a little different than I did. She's no longer on the Oregon team. So if you guys are observers, of course, sure you are. I don't want to bug you. I know you guys are busy as instructors, so I'm kind of just going off of what I've learned throughout the couple of years that I've been doing this. But I'm more than happy if you can send me your availability. I'm more than happy to send you wherever you'd like to go, kind of thing. So
okay, yeah, because I've just waited for you to reach out to me. So that's just how it's always been. So I didn't know we were supposed to reach out to you. So I just assumed you had everything filled and didn't need testers at this point. Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, this is a great discussion on this topic, you guys. And I think there's a lot more conversation to be had. I think everybody has valid points on kind of how we move forward, but ultimately we all have the same goal, and that's providing timely testing to all of these students that we want to get into the workforce and they want to get going. So I think we'll be able to find a solution that works for everyone. Are we ready to move on? Brenna, is there anything else on this topic that you want to make sure that the group hears, or questions?
I'm just going to touch on Shannon's comment about the actor. Recently, I've actually been reaching out to the programs. If they have, an actor can be anybody. It can be pretty much anybody that's willing to sit there and, be an actor and acted on by these students that are testing. So I've been reaching out to I've been reaching out to programs, and they've kind of gotten word out to like previous students that have already tested. And then basically if, someone's willing, I'm more than happy to send that information to the observer. Especially like with, if Sherry's going up to Portland to test, if she doesn't want to bring someone with her, I'm assuming PCC or CCC would be more than happy to find an actor or someone that's willing to do it. And all of the stipulations for being an actor is listed on Oregon TMU. You can sign out of your guys's any kind of accounts, and on our applications, you can select actor, the actor application, and everything's listed on there. So it's definitely something that, we can find for you or help.
I like the idea of having students, fill that role. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Kind of thank you, Brenna, for being here with us and sharing information. I know I was kind of doing a lot of ping pong with, hey, what's going on? I was like, you know what, let's just get Brenna here. So I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually going to jump off here if nobody has any questions, but I am going to put the email addresses in here. Most of you are probably familiar, but if you're newer, they're in here, as well as the phone number.
Great. Thanks, Brenna.
Absolutely.
Can I just jump in and say one more thing, Michelle, kind of like rounding out the kind of discussion. I think it's just really important to share. One of the things that we're doing at OSBN and conversations we're having isn't necessarily to mandate that one program does something, but allow flexibilities to our programs to make sure they can support their program. And if there is programs who are interested in potentially going down this route, and it's been proven to be safe and not a conflict of interest, and valid way of doing this, given a lot of states are moving this way. I just want to say we're having the conversations and exploring what that looks like. And I think this provided a good foundation for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
All right, next up, I want to do a little bit of a curriculum check-in, pulse check, if you will, with you all after all of the work that was put in to combine CNA 1 and 2, pare down the hours requirements. So yeah, I'm not really bringing anything other than questions for you all, and I want you to feel safe here. I want you to understand we are absolutely here to be your partners in success, and that if there are concerns or issues, we've got to address them. And Rachel's kind of mantra you can hear is, if it's our rule getting in the way, then the rule needs to be fixed. And so a little bit of starting off our open forum with this topic. So things that I want to particularly hear about, or the clinical checklist, the time in clinicals, and what's required there with our ratios of instructors to students, and the number of skills, the list, the lab checkoff versus clinical. There's a lot of overlap on those two. And then didactic, there's an increasing amount of programs that are either hybridizing or going fully online. And I'm getting questions more and more from programs that are moving that way, that I think want to hear from those of you who have successfully already done that. So I know that's kind of a lot, but I'll open it up to you. Any burning thoughts on these topics or questions that you want to pose to the group or OSBN? Bonnie?
First, thank you for opening this up. As far as clinical skills, I have found that I struggle to get all of my people signed off. Actually, we do 48 hours, we do 6 days here at RVM. And I'm still concerned that my students aren't coming out of clinical feeling as confident in their skills as perhaps I'd like to see them. So I would love to see more clinical time. I think that classroom and lab, with the changes for me, it's going well. I feel like I have enough time there, but I'd love to see a little bit more added back into the clinicals personally, or even to have that option to add another day or two.
Mm-hmm. I see Sandy's comment in the chat, agreeing with Bonnie, but not necessarily related to time, but related to opportunity. And I absolutely get that. You never know what's going to come up in a clinical experience, and that could look very different from one student to another and from one cohort to another, and like what's happening with those patients, you can't always predict. And I see Julie saying students are feeling pressured in that time. And Marianne, your hand's up.
Yes, we haven't had any problems getting our skills checks done during clinicals. In fact, we do 4 10-hour days. Even if we do 5 8-hour days, we're done by day 3. The hardest one, though, is an occupied bed. That is the hardest one to find at our clinicals. I would love for that to go away because they practice it during skills. That's the only one I'd drop. But we find you can always add more days to clinicals if you can't get it all done, but thank heavens we haven't run into that as necessary. But it's always a possibility. I'd hate to see it mandated that you have 48 hours. You can always do 48 hours, but the minimum time is 40 unless I misunderstand.
Mm-hmm. Marianne, I want to take the opportunity to address that in an even more broad sense. There was some potential communication previously about the didactic curriculum, lab and clinical, with sharing that the idea is it must be exactly this. It must be exactly this time, exactly this hours, and you can't add anything to it. The current stance of the board is that you absolutely can add. So yes, Marianne, where you need to, whether that is in didactic content, whether that's lab, whether that's clinical, you all need to be able to adjust and customize your programs to the needs of the patients, your communities, the students, if you're an employer. So if you've heard that in the past that you can't add, I want to be very clear right now that that is not the case. Anyone else want to kind of speak up with any questions or concerns in this space? I know there's kind of a lot of different topics here. Clinical checklist, I'm hearing some folks are feeling pressured to get through it. You know, when you kind of do the math of 1 to 10 ratio for an instructor in that clinical space, 45 skills, that comes up to a pretty rapid fire check off if you're doing direct observation for each student. So how are those of you that are succeeding in that space managing to do so? Are you hiring up additional staff? Are you relying on other staff at the program or clinical site, Bonnie?
One of the things that I do is when I get an occupied bed change, I pull 2 of my students in. If I have someone that I'm going to shave, then I pull 2 students in, and one gets one half the face, one gets the other. Of course, as long as the resident is willing. Nail care, same thing. If I'm running short, then we split that up. Range of motion, if you can do the left side, you can do the right side. So that can be really helpful in saving time and on those difficult tasks that are difficult to find, like occupied bed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see some different comments in the chat. Carol finds it difficult in the getting the lab skills completed. Sandy sharing it'd be nice if all skills could be done in the lab and not at clinical, and use clinical for that real patient experience. I hear you. Some other it looks like echoing of pairing up students as well. So kind of sharing that skill makes sense. Folks have added hours to the lab to help with sign off, more pairing up. Yeah, advocating for more hours has not been effective. I can see that wouldn't necessarily be the most desirable first step for programs. So, Mary?
I just wanted to share that our program at Clackamas Community, the didactic is asynchronous. And so that is something I stepped in starting this winter term. I was fortunate to be able to just really kind of observe last term and then kind of dive in and be involved this term, which just started. I'm still kind of mapping the curriculum, all of what is required with the OSBN requirements, how it feeds into the lab and how all of the clinical. And so, anyone thinking about going asynchronous, fully online, I think there's more to look at as far as goals of not just what OSBN is asking us to accomplish, but also what are the goals, that we can connect with students. Asynchronous isn't necessarily for everyone, but how do we put in the supports to connect that? And one of the things we decided to do is just some more check-ins during that tiny bit during the lab section where we have lecture lab tapped in there. But again, as everybody mentioned, the time is very constrained. So again, it's kind of looking at those pieces. Most of the students feel happy about the asynchronous, but we also have to look at the students who are coming into the program and making sure that they feel pretty functioning within and have what they need, computers, testing, those who English is not the primary language. We have to really kind of check in and make sure that they are able to function pretty well, especially in that first week. So I just wanted to share that piece, as you mentioned, Michelle, regarding those who have gone asynchronous.
Rachel?
Thanks. I just wanted to ask for some clarification around the conversation in the chat with Sandy, Lynn, and Julie. And I don't know if Michelle, you want to, based on what you know, or have them, but right, we're trying to. Michelle's presenting to everyone. We know that sometimes unintended consequences come up and arise when rules, statutes, whatever, are implemented, and understanding them, and then all the different potential opportunities to correct it. Hopefully not having to go back to the specific hours, given that was an hour, a 1.5 year long conversation, and at the direction of Oregon's, longer than most states. So I just wanted to see if I could understand that better. So I don't know if Michelle, you want to help me, or if you want them to, but.
Well, let's hear from the group. Thoughts on what Rachel's kind of asking here?
Sandy, you were the one who added it, if you want to go first, but then I guess there's hands up too, so,
I see,
yeah.
I see Julie.
Do you want me to talk to Sandy?
Go ahead, Sandy.
Okay, I was just thinking, because I know I've heard from my instructor's the same kind of complaint about having a difficult time getting all the clinical skills checked off at the clinical site. Occupied bed, and again, it's about the patient mix, the opportunities, the situations at the facility. So my thought was just like, why can't we do all those checkoffs in the lab and then use that clinical site as that real patient practice, knowing that they've already checked off and have performed those skills correctly on each other in the lab setting. And now it's not about, I need to see you do this thing. I need to see you go and take care of your patients as a whole at the clinical site, and kind of pull back a little bit on that mandatory checkoff piece. That was my thought process. But then I was wondering, as we were all kind of doing the chat, does that mean we have to open the rack up again?
Well, and that's what, as you know, for those of us who were on it and went to the board, and then the board had us go back to the drawing board, and I said to Michelle, as we find these things, we're going to be very careful of how we course correct and what will need to be updated to make it simple, but address the issue as much as possible. And so it sounds like what you're describing is something that's very specific in rule, and why you're doing it.
And Julie, I see your hand. Oh, go ahead,
And
Rachel.
sorry, Michelle. And just so you know, Sandy, the question about going back to the rack. So racks are created when very large body of works are going to be moved, and we want to make sure that we have community input. But really the only requirement by statute is understanding a rack, how it impacts fiscal and equity. And if it's slight adjustments, and we don't think that there's going to be lots of opposition, it's not something we create a rack on. We go back to the board and have a discussion. I think if I said that correctly, Michelle, you can correct me
No.
if, yeah. Okay.
Well said, Rachel. Yeah. And Julie, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Sandy was saying. I think that we should really have some discussions about what we're doing in clinicals. You know, if we didn't have to go through all the skill steps in a manner of signing them off on skills, and make it more of like a introduction to the world of the CNA in long-term care, or, you know, some places, some programs do teach in other settings, but, you know, it would be a lot easier on the instructor. It would be less of a frenzy to get these skills signed off. And I realize there's fewer skills in clinicals than there are in labs, and that's fine. But it's correct, when we can't find an occupied linen change or a bed bath, or, you know, there's some skills that we just can't do. And that's why, Barbara, you added to the bottom of the skills checklist that the instructor needs to verify in some manner if we can't find a skill. We took away catheter care a long time ago because there aren't catheters. So I think if we made it more of a 40-hour experience in here's what it looks like to be part of this team, to take care of these residents, then we could assign residents to students, and it would be more of a smooth transition into the world of being a CNA. And I don't see that teaching skills in the manner that we're doing in labs in the clinical setting is helpful for board testing, because in the clinical setting, everything kind of goes to heck in a handbasket. We muddy the waters. It gets messy. It's the real world. So we're trying to help the students understand the perfect world, which is curriculum, Board of Nursing textbook, everything in our heart is perfect world. But then we go into this messy place where people are having problems, they're working sick, they have PMS, they've lost their boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, whatever. And all of this sort of drama in life comes into play. But we want to teach them more how they integrate with staff and learn and understand teamwork. And there's other aspects of the job of being a good quality trained CNA in the world of caring for patients that they need to really gain and understand in clinicals. So I think if we could change the focus a little bit in clinicals, do a checklist. Yeah, they did a shower, they made a bed, they did this, they did that, they fed a person, they, even passing trays. There's regulations that surveyors are looking at in passing trays that we want to teach them, but we don't have a skills checklist on that. So there's so much more and different focus to clinicals than there are in labs. And so I think if we could have some conversation around what do we want to have in clinicals, and to me, it's not working. It's this frenzied thing where people are running around. It's like, we don't do a scavenger hunt, but it's a scavenger hunt to find your skills. So, I think pairing them up with a CNA and having them take a group of people for a week, whatever the CNA has, 5 or whatever the ratio is, and learning that whole process from beginning of shift to end of shift with their staff member, with that instructor on the floor all the time, observing and coaching and mentoring. But what we're doing, I really feel like it's clunky and cumbersome and not a good training process. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, I think that's really well articulated, Julie. And I wonder if you feel like there's opportunity to take a look again at those 2 checklists, lab and clinical, and identify those skills, which are many that are on both lists, right? That really, some of those technical skills you've been checked off in lab, maybe moving those out of the clinical checklist and being happy that the skill is demonstrated in the lab setting. Even in our nursing programs, we're increasingly going to simulation checkoffs for skills because of the difficulty in identifying those certain tasks in the clinical setting. So I think that's absolutely a fair idea. I also would think perhaps there are some things on that clinical checklist that are important to see. And if we identify those, then it's easier to focus on, okay, these are the really key skills that lab doesn't quite cut it. We want to see you demonstrate this in the clinical setting, in the real world, with the complexities of the real world happening around you, and move forward in that way. Does anyone feel differently?
Thanks for asking that, Michelle, because I would like to hear like the positives. I think everybody understands this was a body of work that took years and the board was very directive. We do have a different board. We do have opportunities, but I just want to be very clear on we need to be very on board and understanding of our rationales as Michelle digs into this with you all. And I think, thank you for asking that, Michelle.
Bonnie, I see your hand.
I do feel differently. Now, that being said, I do sometimes have a difficult time getting everything in, but I think that there's a big difference, and maybe occupied bed isn't the greatest example, but I think that there's a big difference in bathing and brief changes and pericare, in doing it on a real person as opposed to the mannequin, and the need for me to be there to actually see that and to sign that off. I think that it's really important, and I would struggle letting that go without having that specific sheet. And to Julie's point about seeing the big picture, in my clinicals, I do assign them with a CNA, and they follow them for that whole shift. And then they're not so much running around. We have to do a little bit, but it's me going to meet them in those spaces, so they do get a chance to kind of see big picture. And we talk about that in our clinical debrief, that especially after the first day or two, to start looking at, as they've got some of those skills signed off, to start really looking at big picture. By the end of their 6 days, when a call light goes off, they're the one kind of trying to take the lead in anticipating what might they be asking, or what might they be doing when they enter the room, and the CNA kind of takes a step back. Of course, they're always there, but to help in that transition of, this is real life, big picture kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Bonnie, I think what I think I hear you saying is making sure we're taking a balanced approach. Like, we don't want to scrap a skills checklist, but maybe looking at those essential pieces, and making sure we do have space within the hours allotted to do that big picture. And it sounds like you've added some hours to your program to allow for that time. Is that correct?
Yes, I was approved to do 48 hours, just one
Sure.
additional day. I would love to add 1 or 2 more days. Actually, I think it would really help with their confidence. It's that last day or two that prior to the change in hours, I did 2 weeks. I think I did 11 days. And it was the last like 2 or 3 days that they were like coming alive and really seeing the whole thing, and building in confidence. And I understand that we're not graduating experts in the field, right? We're training them to be competent, but it did make a big difference in their experience.
Kelly.
So I do agree about stressing that the clinical experience is more about what the real life looks like. Lab is very structured. It's very follow the skills list, etc. Our program hasn't had the same kind of problem with getting the skills checklists done in the 40 hours. Part of that is because in our area, I talked with my instructors. We figured out which skills we were consistently having a hard time locating. And then we came up with an alternative simulation for those particular skills. So we would have a backup in the event that we get to the end of our 40 hours and they're still missing those skills. But we have a simulation plan in place so they can demonstrate those skills, get signed off. But generally speaking, we do 410s by our final day. They're checked off on almost everything. There's a couple of skills that we consistently have to do simulation on, but other than that, they're getting them all signed off, and they're in there and they're doing the job, and they're working with their CNA, and they're just enjoying the experience.
Can I ask a clarifying question for the group? Are folks using CNAs or other facility staff to sign off those skills, not just your primary instructor?
No.
Is
Just
anyone? And don't be afraid to answer. This is not a place for judgment or gotcha moment. I'm
My
just
hand
trying to
is still
assess
up, so
reality.
so yes, we do. I don't
Mhm.
actually have the CNAs sign them off. What I'll do is I will sit down with the CNAs when I have that, and we will go through the skills and what they did and how they did, and where they have concerns or don't have concerns. If they have concerns, I will personally observe a skill. It's just my students are so spread out. There's no way for me to observe every skill. We would get nothing signed off if we did that.
Mhm. Yeah. Carol?
We have a preceptor program and we've taught the preceptors exactly how they're supposed to do the skills. So they work, our students work with a preceptor and we check in with the preceptor and we go watch skills randomly.
Are they
So yeah,
CNA?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
CNA.
Carol. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else following a model like that? Mhm. You're Marianne, you're right. The rules do say the RN needs to be the checkoff, and that's the role of the instructor. But one of the reasons I'm even bringing this to the forum is if you look at one instructor, 10 students, 45 skills, that's 450 checkoffs in 40 hours, and that math isn't quite mathing. And so I want to be real about having honest conversations with you, and we can't fix it if we don't understand the challenges. And as Rachel said, we've been into this new curriculum and these new hours for a little bit, and if we have to course correct, then we need to understand where that focus needs to be, and that's okay. We can do that. But we really want to understand what you are doing, current state, and that piece of reality versus maybe what we've written into rule. Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing some comments that perhaps you're hiring up, so you're hiring more instructors than that 1-to-10 ratio. Anyone want to speak to that in order to accomplish the checkoff in skills in clinical? Bonnie?
I have had some of my clinical rotations where I've brought in a second